Hi, Nuan the Movie Slinger here with a review of Predator 2. So once again we have Nilendra joining us.
Hey guys.
Hi Nilendra, good to have you back. Okay, so Predator 2, this one is directed by Stephen Hopkins, starring Danny Glover, Gary Busey, Bill Paxton, and of course Kevin Peter Hall as the Predator. So this movie came out in 1990, but it takes place in the near future of 1997 in Los Angeles. Danny Glover is playing Lieutenant Mike Harrigan. He's working in his team are Detective Danny and Detective Leona and Detective Jerry, I think, is the new guy, Bill Paxton. He comes later. So they are engaged in a gunfight with the Colombian cartel. So there's a huge turf war going on between the Colombians and the Jamaicans. There's a heat wave.
This really takes place in like a weird Trump's America where the brown people have taken over Los Angeles and there's lots of guns.
It's a very over the top kind of future, right? So the predator, all the violence in LA attracts the predator to hunt in the city. So I thought it's an interesting choice of location to go into a city. It's the urban jungle. They didn't just remake the original. They try to do something different. So the predator starts off killing the cartels, and then Harrigan and his team are trying to figure out what's going on. There's a secret government operation headed by Gary Busey. Detective Danny gets killed by the predator. Then that gets covered up by the government, and then Harrigan wants answers. So I think there's a little bit of an interesting story there, but it's such an annoying movie to watch. So the characters really get in the way of this story. They are really over the top, not very likable. So, and this is like 5 minutes into the movie, right? Like 5 minutes in, we already hated the characters. What do you think, Nilendra?
Yeah. These guys are supposed to be cops, but if you watch any police procedural series, it's gonna blow your mind how unprofessional these guys are.
Yeah, I mean, you have Danny Glover as Mike Harrigan, right? He's so over the top, and he's so comical. Like his reactions are so comical. You can't believe this guy is a cop, and we don't really learn anything about him.
Which is surprising because he's made a profession playing cops.
Yeah, he was in Lethal Weapon, right, with Mel Gibson, right? And he's very unprofessional. He's not a good cop. Now, if you take a different cop movie, you take Die Hard. You have Bruce Willis as John McClane. He's very likable and he's also very professional. He's a good cop. Yeah. You take something like Bad Boys. They are not good cops. They are they cause a lot of damage, but they're still very likable and funny. So you either need a guy who is likable, or you have a guy who's not likable, but he should be at least good at what he does. Should be professional.
Yeah, but in this case, we have a cop who hates his job and complains about it a lot. Yeah, and we don't like that.
We don't like, and he's not likable. There's nothing about him that makes him likable. So Mike Harrigan, he gets wind the government is up to something. He tells his friend Danny to help check this crime scene where the Jamaicans were killed by the predator. So Danny is an idiot. He goes in without Harrigan, and Harrigan is an asshole because he arrives too late. It's actually his fault that his friend gets killed. But we never see him getting consumed by the guilt. And we don't even see him how he discovers his friend is dead. We never find that the movie cuts to the future.
Yeah, there's a really important scene where Danny Glover's character says he pried open the spear tip from the hand of his dead partner.
But we never see it.
We never saw that part.
That should have been a very emotional moment, but we never see it. And then he blames the government. He tells his friend to go to the crime scene, and he arrives too late. So it's really his fault, but then he goes and blames the government. And I don't understand his motivation.
To be fair, Cooperation was his middle name.
Cooperation is my middle name.
I don't understand his motivation to check the crime scene because he's disobeying a lot of orders. Now, it would have made sense if his friend had died earlier and the government covered it up, and that would explain why he's so motivated to go after the predator. But then it's really his fault, and then he disobeys orders and gets his friends killed. So he starts doing a lot of dumb shit from the very beginning. There's no motivation for his actions, and it kind of makes him looks like a very reckless idiot.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing really redeeming about this character.
Yeah, and I want to address the really bad stereotypes that take place with Jamaicans. But Jamaicans is a very big stretch of the word. These are just...
And they look like they're dressed for a music video or something. The clothes all look really bad. Like, even the detectives look like they're wearing clothes from the 1950s with hats. Right? It looks like a very film noir kind of look, but it's actually taking place in the 90s, so it doesn't really make sense.
I mean, okay, Jamaicans and pot smoke and stuff like that, but then you give them weird dialogue that makes them sound like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, the actors are really bad. Like I don't know who did the casting for this. So the detective Danny Boy, he gets killed, but he's not a very good character. Yeah.
And then let's address Bill Paxton.
Yeah, Bill Paxton is there, and he's very over the top. Now, this worked in Aliens. I like him in Aliens, and he's doing a very similar thing. I feel like that worked for a Marine, it worked for a Space Marine in Aliens, but here it's out of place.
It's out of place. It's out of place.
He's so over the top.
And then surveillance is his thing.
He says his surveillance is his what's he say?
Hey, don't worry, Lieutenant. Surveillance is my specialty.
Okay, then. Just get going.
And then the next scene, he says something else.
Luck is his thing.
I don't get it. And then you have Detective Leona. Horrible actress. I don't know. It's painful to watch her performance.
Stereotypical really Latina, but then it's not really. It's not even that. It's out of place.
Most of the actors are really bad in this movie. The performances are really bad.
Gary Busey.
Gary Busey. I mean, Gary Busey looks okay compared to everyone else there, right? What did you think about the future setting of 1997? The future, 1997, man.
Very dark. I don't remember 1997 being so bad.
So violent. It almost looks like, it doesn't look like LA. It looks like
Beirut
or somewhere in Mexico. Like it's a war zone.
It's a war zone.
It's very over the top. And the cops have these little gizmos, like these attachments on their weapons, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a prop toy or something like that. I mean, they've got laser pointers. And
and sometimes it's flashlights. And here's the thing, sometimes it works as a flashlight, sometimes it's a laser pointer.
But it looks really fake when you have them very close.
It looks very plasticky.
It looks like plastic.
Yeah. And actually, the entire movie kind of feels a little cheap. The special effects look sometimes it looks bad sometimes. They show the Predator too much. Some of the scenes where the Predator is killing people, it looks very sloppy.
I mean, this thing has doubled the budget of the original Predator film.
Yeah.
Original Predator was what, 15
to 18 million or something, and this is like 35 million budget.
35 million.
So they doubled the budget, but
then they've blown the budget because they set it in LA. So they have to have a lot of stand-in characters.
Probably.
They've got to have...
And actually, no, the special effects, it's very mixed. Sometimes you see like it looks good, and then sometimes it looks really bad. And sometimes the Predator, it looks very sloppy because sometimes you have this scene where the Predator is invisible.
Yeah.
And yet the weapon is clearly visible on the Predator, and they never explain this. Right? What do you think? What do you think is happening? Is it because it's a limitation with the weapon, or is it because the Predator is inexperienced?
Yeah, I'm not even going to analyze that point because I'm pretty sure that someone messed up there.
And the movie doesn't bother to explain whether it's a limitation in the weapon or the Predator is inexperienced. Yes. He feels very sloppy Predator.
It's a sloppy Predator.
And sometimes you see him and then you don't see him. Sometimes in the very same scene, he's invisible. Mm-hmm. You see the shimmer, and then the next shot he's clearly visible, and sometimes people can see him when he's in the shimmer mode, when he's cloaked. People can clearly see him, and sometimes when he's visible and they don't see him. It's very I don't know, the filmmaking is really bad. The cinematography, the editing looks very cheap in the beginning. So usually the Predator kills for the trophies, right? So he wants to kill something because it's worth it, because it's a worthy kill. But then he goes and attacks this subway train full of normal people.
We have a random street gang that's suddenly being elevated to the level of the Colombians and the
cartels.
Jamaicans.
Yeah, like it's some random bunch of gangsters on the train. Just because they have guns, they are a similar threat to the cartels. So the Predator starts attacking them, and it's also the civilians as well. The civilians have guns. Okay, I guess that's kind of a joke about Americans having guns, but okay, whatever. So the Predator just starts attacking this subway, and it's a really bad scene. The lighting is bad. You can't see what's going on.
It's all flickering, and then
and Bill Paxton throws the Jerry character. Bill Paxton's character has this golf ball.
He runs out of bullets, and then he throws a golf ball.
I guess the golf ball is supposed to be a thing, but they don't set it up properly. I don't know why why that was such a big deal.
And then we have a weird scene where after everyone's dead and Jerry's been killed and everyone, Leona comes across the Predator, and he spares her even though she has a gun.
I think it's because she's pregnant. They
show her pregnant, but that's, I mean, if everyone's familiar with the Predator franchise, that's really not something the Predator cares about. It's do you have a gun or not?
Are you a threat or not?
No,
if you're a threat, he attacks you. He doesn't kill the kid, kid is not a threat. So that's a really weird scene, and they don't really explain much. I'm guessing it's because she's pregnant.
I'm guessing it's because they didn't want to show a woman being killed on scene.
That could be a reason. That could be a reason.
That's a filmmaking decision,
that could be a reason.
Studio decision.
True. A lot of weird choices in this movie. Very annoying. Like the first half of the movie. Then the movie. There is a part where it gets a little interesting.
I guess it's the third act.
Yeah, third act. So Harrigan is taken to Gary Busey's the special ops team's operation center. He's quickly updated on what the Predator is, which I thought was kind of weird because the government was trying to cover up this alien, and now they're explaining everything to him. It's like a data dump, They just tell him everything.
All of a sudden, that the detective is cleared for everything.
Yeah, he's got clearance, and they tell him, "Oh, this is the Predator. He was responsible for
energy
all these
weapons and everything."
Yeah, and they're trying to capture it. They explain everything, and I'm like, okay, you don't really need Harrigan's help. You don't need him there. Why are you were covering up all of this? Why are you suddenly explaining everything to him? It's kind of weird. I'm guessing that's for the audience benefit, but it kind of comes off as weird because it seems very dumb from the movie.
Who it's explained to.
Yeah, a lot of exposition as well.
And then we come to the factory.
The factory scene,
slaughterhouse.
The slaughterhouse scene. So the Predator is holed up inside the slaughterhouse, and then the Gary Busey special ops team.
Apparently, the Predator eats beef.
Yeah, apparently he has a thing for that. Wow, who'd have thought, right? So then the special ops team, they have figured out that the Predator is using infrared, so they use special suits to hide the thermal image.
And they plan to use nitrogen to freeze the Predator.
Because they want to capture it. Yeah. So this scene actually, I thought was shot really well, which was very weird because I feel like a completely different team was filming this sequence. The cinematography, the lighting, everything was very slick, and I was really impressed by that scene, and it was set up very well. It was a little tense when the team is trying to go through the slaughterhouse and the Predator is there, and the Predator is a little confused because he can't see the special ops team.
And then we see the Predator actually using his technology, changing the filters.
It's adapting. So that was really cool. And
he studies the team. He studies the pattern, the way they move, and
I also like that there's very little dialogue, which is
more tension.
Yeah, and very little dialogue, and of course another reason is the characters are very annoying, so the less they talk, the better the movie. So it's almost like a different movie at this point. And then of course the Predator adapts to the scene, and then he can see the lights, right? He changes the filters and he can see the lights for the special ops team, and he starts attacking them. And then Harrigan goes in with his trusty bulletproof vest.
Oh, by the way, Harrigan has no problem taking down a special ops team that's there, because apparently the special ops teams are badly trained and they can't keep him away from
they can't
the scene.
Stop this guy. So he goes in with his grenade launcher and everything, and this scene is kind of fun. The movie kind of it picks up. I think this is probably the best part of the movie. And again, because there's very little dialogue, so Harrigan is very tolerable when he doesn't talk. So he manages to hurt the Predator, and the Predator actually shoots him with the laser gun, but somehow the bulletproof vest is good enough to stop the Predator's advanced alien tech. That was kind of weird. What did you think about that? That looked very out of place.
Really, there's no point of analyzing that point because it's gonna fail out.
Yeah, it's a very dumb scene. Like this bulletproof vest is good enough to stop the Predator's laser weapon.
Honestly, guys, if you're watching this film, you really can't nitpick it like we have, because
Yeah.
it's just gonna
It's-
fail.
Yeah, it's a bad movie. It's not a good movie.
Not a good movie.
But the last scene kind of is a bit fun.
Yeah.
Although my only complaint with the final act is that it takes too long.
It takes too
It
long.
takes way too long.
So after the factory scene, then there's another fight scene with the Predator
On the rooftop.
On the rooftop. So I was actually telling no one about this. I mean, it switches back to a classic cop standoff sort of
Yeah.
thing. You know,
The cop is going after the
cop
bad
is going-
guy. He's
using
taking
the
cover.
cover.
Yeah.
birds randomly.
Birds are flying. It's kind of
We
like
didn't-
Heat.
We didn't address his fear of heights.
Oh, so they set up very early on in the movie that Harrigan is afraid of heights. And so the final showdown on the rooftop where he has to overcome his fear. Okay, I guess that's kind of interesting. He has to kind of overcome it. And then the Predator is injured and
Harrigan manages to cut off his arm because the Predator has that.
it's trying to activate the
self-destruct-
explosive.
Yeah, the self-destruct this thing that can take down a city block. So Harrigan takes one of those discs that the Predator had used. Which,
Cuts off the hand.
yeah, just cuts off the hand of the Predator, and then they go on. It was a very stretched out scene. Of
Yeah, the
medical-
scene where the Predator is tending to his wounds and Harrigan is slowly climbing down the pipe. So that was very long. I think they could have cut that scene down. And then the Predator just runs to his ship, which makes me wonder why he didn't just run to the ship straight away. Why was he waiting there, waiting for Harrigan to come down? So anyway, he goes to the ship, and then we see the trophy room, which I thought was really cool. You see the xenomorph skull, which is what really kicked off the Alien versus Predator franchise. So that was really cool. What did you think about that final scene?
That was a nice scene, yeah. And then we had the last fight sequence. I
Yeah,
guess,
they fight. And another weird thing happens. The Predator, without the voice modulator, it starts to talk. It says a few words. Yeah, right? It starts talking, and I'm like, okay, I understand how in the first film and in some of the other films it uses it records the voices from other people and it plays it back to kind of to tease them or to distract them. But here the Predator actually can talk our language, which is kind of really weird. Without the voice modulator, which is really weird. They don't explain that part. And on the alien ship, you see the other predators. So after Harrigan finally kills the Predator, the others show up. And of course, they don't interfere, which I thought was cool, okay, because the Predator that was in the city was being tested. He was being tested, initiated into the hunting order or whatever. He has to prove himself. So Harrigan won the fight. So one of the Predators throws an
ancient flintlock pistol.
Yeah, which probably they took as a trophy hundreds of years ago. He gives it to Harrigan, and then they leave. So, concluding thoughts. I think this is my least favorite Predator movie. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a really bad movie overall. It's probably the worst in the series.
Yeah, it's the worst in the series from Predator, Predator 2, and Predators.
And I'm even counting AVP and AVP 2 as well.
AVP 2, it's worse than AVP 2.
I'm pretty sure it's worse than
really?
AVP 2.
You have not seen that movie properly. Okay.
No.
This is okay. I don't think this is as bad as AVP 2. AVP 2 is really bad.
AVP 2 has really bad plot points, but on every other way.
No, the characters are worse than this.
The characters are worse than that. No.
We should do a review of that. We should do a review of AVP and AVP 2 one day.
Retraction, okay, no. AVP 2 is bad.
Yeah, AVP 2
really
is the worst, one of the worst movies ever made. But out of the Predator series, I think this is the weakest one. The original, the very first 1987 movie is an action classic. And even the 2010 movie is quite decent.
To be fair, okay, both these films are B movies. I'm talking about the 1987 one and the 1990 one.
Yeah.
But there's a really big difference between both of them.
The 87 one, yeah, it has a bit of a B movie element, but it's cheesy, but we like the characters. We like the characters, and they are very fun to watch.
And the setting is really small. It's controlled.
Yeah.
They
use their budget very well. It still looks good to this day. While this movie, Predator 2, kind of looks sloppy. Some of the special effects look bad. Sometimes it looks quite good, and then it looks really bad. Like they didn't know how to handle certain scenes. And of course, the annoying, over-the-top characters was probably the worst part of the movie.
I'm guessing they blew a lot of their budget on the third act.
Maybe. Because the alien spaceship and the other predators, yeah?
Yeah. So that would have blown a lot of the budget, and then they just didn't have much to go for everything.
Yeah, they didn't have enough budget to hire good actors. That's it. The attempts at humor are not funny in this movie. Terrible protagonist. I mean, I like Danny Glover in other movies, but here I feel like he was the wrong choice for the protagonist.
And I mean, with reference to all the problems with the alien technology, I'm just guessing there's no respect for
the source
canon,
material,
the source
canon,
material.
yeah. And they kind of, I feel like some of the scenes where they don't really fully, even the filmmakers didn't understand how the Predator's technology works. Or maybe they shot certain scenes and didn't have enough footage, and they just edited together stuff that didn't kind of make sense.
Okay, I mean, in all spirit of forgiveness and giving them a chance, maybe back then it didn't matter so much about continuity and stuff like
Probably,
that.
yes.
Whereas right now, in our time,
we have seen other movies.
We've seen other movies, and we expect them to keep continuity.
And they have kind of fleshed out the Predator's backstory and the lore about it, so we know more about it. So when we go back and watch this movie, maybe we see more faults than people saw back then, right?
True.
So but still, that doesn't change the fact that the characters were really annoying.
It doesn't.
It does not. The final act was kind of entertaining, especially everything from the part where the special ops team is going into the slaughterhouse. It kind of improves from that point. I feel like the potential, setting this in the city, there was good potential, but they kind of mess it up a bit.
No. I think setting it in the city
may have been a mistake.
Been a mistake.
Okay. Cool. So that's the Predator 2. So what did you guys think about it? Please leave your thoughts in the comments.
Final word.
Yeah.
Danny Glover is always saying he's too old for this shit. He was too old for this. He should have been the captain at the police station, not the protagonist.
Cooperation is my middle name.
So thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you, Nilendra, for joining me.
Hey,
so,
my pleasure.
Yeah, so what are we doing next? We are doing Predators next, right?
2010.
2010, yeah.